Just yesterday, 27th August, Senegal's President Bassirou Diomaye Faye and French President Emmanuel Macron had breakfast at Élysée in Paris. My name is DJ Bokali. Welcome to African Awakening, the Pan-African show, awakening, uniting, and transforming Africa. It is a great joy to be with you today, and thank you very much for being a part of this community. Together, we truly can, must, and will transform Africa. The president can, of course, share breakfast with whoever he wants. But I have counted at least 10 red flags in this visit, and I'm going to share some of them with you now. After the breakfast, President Faye thanked Macron for a warm welcome. He talked of a review of cooperation. These are polite diplomatic words, but for millions of us in Africa, eager for fundamental change, they are not enough. They raise a single burning question that we must pose directly to the president himself. President Faye, what exactly are the transformative deliverables of your visit to Paris? With all due respect, Mr. President, you have traveled a lot this year. Traveled a lot, bro. Mr. President, you speak of a breakfast at the Élysée. A pleasant morning, no doubt, with croissant and coffee. Discussing portfolios and programs. But let's contrast that image with the reality of breakfast tables in Senegal, in Dakar, in Touba, in Ziguinchor. What are the conversations around those breakfast tables? They are about the high cost of rice. They are about the price of cooking oil, the struggle to find jobs for our brilliant young graduates, our young people, and the fishing boats that can no longer find fish because our waters have been sold off in opaque deals. So, when you sit down with President Macron, what exactly are you discussing that will resonate positively at these breakfast tables? You mentioned investment and trade. What kind of investment? The kind that has historically extracted our resources, taken them out, and left little behind? What kind of trade? The kind where we export raw materials for pennies and import finished goods for a fortune? That kind of trade? You spoke of defense and security. Whose defense, Mr. President? And whose security? How can you, a symbol of a new generation, sit and discuss security agreements with the power that many believe is at the very root of the Sahelian security misfortunes? A power whose agenda has consistently undermined our collective African security architecture? We must ask, are these agreements to protect the Senegalese people or to protect French interests in Senegal? Mr. President, France can offer us nothing but the same old chains, polished and presented as new gifts. That's all they can do. Mr. President, you must understand the historical weight of the image you presented to us today. For generations, we have watched African leaders make this same pilgrimage to Paris. They walk the same red carpets. They shake the same hands and sign agreement after agreement. Think about it. Since your grandparents' time, Mr. President, how many Franco-Senegalese agreements have been signed? How many? And how have they helped the ordinary Senegalese people. How have they? Have they resulted in technologically advanced, industrially independent Senegalese breakthroughs? Or have they deepened dependency, hollowed out our industries, and created a French speaking elite disconnected from the masses? You're not just any leader. Your election represented a popular rejection of this very system. The people who put you in power, who voted for you, did not vote for a continuation of this subservient relationship. They voted for a leader with a bold, revolutionary, pro-African agenda, pro-Senegal agenda. And you need to know that we're not opposed to presidents meeting any leader, friend or foe. Diplomacy is necessary, but we vehemently oppose meetings that lack a clear mandate for radically changing Africa. When you go to Paris, you're not just Bassirou Diomaye Faye. You are the hope of millions. To see you engage in the same old rituals without a clear break from the past feels like a betrayal. To see you talk of more agreements with those many see as French vampires who have fed on our continent for centuries makes us question what's happening, Mr. President. Some are calling it a sellout. Mr. President, if you truly wanted to signal a new era, if you truly wanted to make that breakfast at the Élysée historic, your principal agenda should have been clear and singular, initiating the final, irreversible, and swift process of phasing out the CFA franc, not the vague, ambiguous language of reviewing cooperation, but a firm declaration that Senegal, under your leadership, will begin the journey to full monetary sovereignty. Imagine the power of that statement. Imagine how it would have electrified the continent and shown the world that a new Africa has truly been born. The CFA franc remains the most potent symbol of French neo-colonial control in Africa. It is an economic umbilical cord that keeps 14 African nations tethered to the French treasury. It dictates our monetary policy, hinders our industrialization, and makes a mockery of our independence. To speak of strengthening trade and investment while ignoring the gilded cage of the CFA is an exercise in futility. It is like discussing how to rearrange the furniture in a house that you don't own. True economic liberation for Senegal and for all Francophone African countries begins with monetary liberation. That should have been your headline agenda, Mr. President, not a footnote of future seminars. We ask these questions not from a place of malice, but from a place of profound hope and expectation. President Faye, you were elected to be different. You were chosen to dismantle the old structures, not to renovate them. Reflect, Mr. President, from your childhood until today, what has this long series of agreements with France truly brought to the average Senegalese person? When you reflect honestly, you will understand the deep skepticism and frustration of your people. We still have hope, but that hope is conditional. It depends on your demonstrating that this trip to Paris was not a surrender, but a strategic step in a larger plan of liberation. Show us the agenda, show us the plan, show us that the breakfast at the Élysée was not just a meal, but the last supper of the Françafrique system. The people are watching. Africa is watching. And we are all waiting for your answer.